안녕하세요, Cloud입니다. Hey guys, Cloud here. All it takes is one quick Google search or one YouTube search with the word HelloTalk, and one of the things that comes up predominantly is creeps, the negative experiences with the app. What is HelloTalk, you might be asking? You probably already know, but just in case you don't, HelloTalk is a language exchange app. Basically what it does is you have a bunch of people that sign up. Now let's say person A speaks English as their native language and they're trying to learn German. Person B speaks German as their native language and they're trying to learn English. Well, what the app will do is it'll set up a platform where you guys can communicate. So you can teach him, or person A can teach person B English, person B can respond by teaching person A German. That way both people learn the language that they want, hence language exchange. Cool, right? Awesome idea. And it really is. It's a great idea. Now, HelloTalk has two main features. The first feature is DMing people. So you can DM someone, just like, think of Facebook. You can DM a person, you can language exchange with them, you can call them, you can just a regular messenger, I guess. You can't video call, you need to subscribe for that. I don't remember how much you have to pay for that subscription, but you can always outsource it to a different app. So there's the sort of the one-on-one or group chat sort of feature, and then there's the other feature, the moments. So think of posting something on your Facebook wall. Now what's nice about that is that you can post sort of an art, like let's say you're working on your writing skills, so you write like a short essay, like maybe a couple paragraphs, you can post that on HelloTalk. Native speakers will be able to see that, so all the native speakers that are trying to learn your language. So in my example, like you're trying to learn German, you write something in German, all the German people on that app that are trying to learn English can see that. And they can see it and they can actually correct it. So they can go in, they can highlight the sort of mistakes, or they can change the mistakes that you did, and the app will highlight, you said, this word, and it'll put like a red line across it, basically cross it out, and then it'll write it down underneath in green, which is the correct version. So that way, in case you make a mistake and you're not sure, like let's say you spelt red, R-A-E-D instead of R-E-A-D, it might be confusing to you. Like there's a correction, but you really can't see it. It kind of highlights it so that, it's a really cool feature. I like it. Now the problem with the app isn't its functionality. Like the functionality can be better, but that's not the problem. The problem is the people that are on there. It's very easy for people to make unwanted moves. It's a language exchange app, but there's three main uses for it from what I've seen. People either use it as social media, so people just say, post pictures of them going out to bars or at a park or whatever, just pictures or just talking about their day or whatever. Sometimes just even in their native language, they're just literally just using it as a sort of social media platform like Facebook or something. I guess they want to get exposure to the other language, so that's one thing. The second way is actual language exchange. So they're posting like their English homework, for example, and be like, hey, please help me with this. Did I get this right? Things like that. And then the third way is to pick up, to find a significant other, which is funny to say, but yes, they use it kind of like Tinder. And it can get very annoying. This has happened with a lot of people where they will go through these cycles of installing HelloTalk, posting something, looking for a language exchange or something like that, posting for something for correction, and then they get DM'd, like 10 people DM them. 9 of them might be great, or 8 of them might be great, but then 2 of them are just absolute jerks. 2 of them might be asking inappropriate questions, might be very rude. I mean, you'll see pictures of people who are like, really pushing themselves, and if you try to say no, like, hey, this is not cool, they'll just say, oh, like you're ugly and you're I don't know what, and just like start cursing you out. And it happens, unfortunately. So what do we say about HelloTalk? It has a lot of negatives. A lot of people, like I said in the beginning of the video, a lot of people have had very, very negative experiences. So should we just scrap the app, or is there actually some sort of value in the app? I do think there is value in the app, and I'll tell you why. I also had, sort of fruitless experiences on HelloTalk, and I've even had sometimes people like, hey, send me your picture. I'm like, why? I'm trying to language exchange. And I'm sure a lot of people have had like much worse, or some people might say, hi, hey, you want to do this, and then just completely ghost me for no reason. I've sort of figured out a way where I can avoid most of, creeps on there, and I can kind of focus on the core of the reason I'm using it, which is language exchange. And the method that I sort of came up with after many iterations is almost a twofold method. The first one is I try to focus on people who are living abroad. So I'm learning Korean. I want to speak to Korean people. I want to speak to Korean people who aren't living in Korea for two reasons. The first reason is if they're living in an English-speaking country, they probably really want to learn English. So they're on that app. They're more likely to say, hey, this is something I want to take a little bit more seriously than someone whose New Year resolution is, hey, I want to learn English. They download the app, they might use it. Everyone knows how New Year's resolutions can slowly, not pan out the way you want it to be. So I'm not saying that people who live in Korea, I won't talk to them. I will, but like it's sort of on like a person-to-person basis decision. But for the most part, I stick with people who are living abroad. The second reason I do that is because their time zone is just better. Now, if they're living in Japan, that's like, okay, basically the same time zone, or in China. But I tend to prefer people who live closer to the United States in time because it's easier for us to sort of set up a time. Now, 2 of my language exchange partners are in Korea. I've had maybe 4 in total that lived in Korea. So it's not like I absolutely don't, but I think the majority are people who live in a country other than Korea, like closer, like sometimes London, sometimes Germany, sometimes the US. I think the majority have been living in the US or Canada. Now, the other thing that I do is I don't just approach people randomly. What I do is I actually don't post on HelloTalk anymore. I used to ask for corrections, but I found that wasn't very useful. It's not that wasn't very useful. It's that was opened. It put a lot of eyeballs, gave me unwanted attention. That's what I'm trying to say. It gives you unwanted attention. Once you post something, hundreds, thousands of people are going to see that. And then some people are going to be like, hey, I'm going to correct this person's work. And other people are going to be like, oh, snap, let me DM this person. And you don't want that person who's like, oh, snap, let me DM this person. Let me shoot my shot. Because you're not here to unless you are, but I'm assuming you're not here to, find people who are willing to shoot their shot. Especially if it comes out very abrupt or unwelcomed, like you just don't want that. So I don't post. So how do I get in touch with people? Well, ironically, I look for other people's posts. In general, I tend to DM people who clearly show that they're, looking for language exchange partners. So I might DM someone who says, hey, looking for someone to speak with for 30 minutes twice a week. That's the sort of person that I would DM. I'd also kind of check their profile. In general, I find that the older they are, the more likely they are to have, to be more consistent. I've had a lot of younger people, like towards my age, like in their 20s, and they haven't been very consistent. But the most consistent language exchange partners have all been over 30. So I find, it's like striking gold if I can find someone over 30, lives abroad, and wants to language exchange. That's that's almost guaranteed that person is going to be a great language exchange partner. I say almost, there's obviously exceptions, but at least in my sort of experience. Now, it can be a little bit difficult because, the age difference. I have always tended to just prioritize my goal. So my goal was to learn the language. I'm not really here to make friends with you. I have a great relationship with all the people that I do. I've had a very, very friendly relationship with all the people that I language exchange with. But that wasn't sort of my goal. My goal was like, hey, I want to be a really awesome language exchange partner. Like, I will really help you with learning English. And in return, I found that they really help to learn Korean. And sometimes it's like the relationship isn't even like, hey, I'm going to help you learn this language. The relationship is more, let's just talk. We're not really like sort of trying to learn. We'll talk. If we don't know how to say something, I'll help you. And we'll talk about whatever, sort of topic that comes up. And sometimes I've had, scheduled 1 hour a week with people that go on to like 3 hours just because we're enjoying the topic and we both have the time. So I definitely think that in terms of finding the people, there's a lot of great people on there that sort of can, teach you the language and you can language change with. The problem is once you start giving yourself unwelcomed attention. That's when people start uninstalling and being like, oh my God, and reporting, and this person's a creep. Now, the feature where they correct your text, that's an awesome feature. That unfortunately, if you use it, you're just going to get unwanted attention. So I personally haven't used it in years, I think. And I won't use it just because I really don't like it. I think maybe the past year I've used it once to see if anyone wanted to have a phone call or something. But other than that, I think not using it is the way to go. Now, if the only reason you're downloading HelloTalk for that, then you're going to get unwanted attention. I don't know of an alternative. But in terms of finding partners, I think it's difficult to find partners, especially now. Like when I first started 3 years ago, it was much easier to find someone looking for language exchange. But I think more recently, it's just Facebook 2.0. Facebook plus Tinder, really, to be honest, with a little bit of language exchange sprinkled here and there. So those are kind of my techniques of like navigating HelloTalk and what it is that I think it's a great app. Like, don't get me wrong. I just think there's too many people that use it for other purposes that makes it not useless, but makes it very difficult to navigate. But those are my thoughts on it. There's obviously other language exchange apps that you can try, Tandem and whatnot. Recently Clubhouse, but I'm going to talk about Clubhouse in a different video. So I'll keep that for then. I don't want to make this video too long. It's already like almost 12 minutes. So I think I'll end it here.